I was aware that the relationship between Jackie and her daughters was strained. I did not know, to the extent or the degree, like the harm that she caused to my sister's relationship. And myself, she won't even take responsibility for. Now, it is like a imposter. I must continue talking to you so that you do not go gossip about me on Twitter and gossip about me on Facebook and tell Jeanin. She does not care why. Why else would you talk about your daughter like this? Y'all, let's discuss Doug Christie for a second. If you're familiar with him, this man is not about that drama. Doug has always been the cool, level-headed type, the kind of guy who remains cool no matter what. But this time, he lost his cool. And not just a little raise your voice moment. I'm talking about a full-on blow-up. And listen, when a dude like Doug, who's always been all about maintaining the peace, suddenly loses his cool, that means something seriously serious went down, because this is the same Doug Christie who for years has been infamous for being all about family honor and not getting into unnecessary drama. But whatever this was, it took him over his head. So now the actual question is, what did Chantel do to get her dad this angry? 'Cause y'all, it takes a lot to get Doug riled up, and from the way that he responded, this wasn't just some minor disagreement. This was something profound. Something that shook him to his core. And trust me, when you hear what went down, it's going to make sense. I want to give her the chance to say all of the things that she's had to say about me. To me, get bold. You had all of these things to say. Oh, she's a hoe, she's messing with his friend, she's doing this, she's doing that. Say it now before Doug completely lost it. He had already started sensing that something was off. You know how sometimes you just get that gut feeling like something's not right, but you can't quite put your finger on it? Yet that's exactly where Doug was. And trust me, when a man like Doug, who normally minds his business and stays cool, starts feeling uneasy that something is actually going down, first, there was Jackie. Doug knows his wife better than anybody, so when she began acting strange, he noticed she was avoiding some things, being overly cautious with her phone, and just moving differently. And let's be real, when people begin being too secretive, that's when, they're covering something. Then there was Chantel. She wasn't behaving like herself either. Doug caught her slipping up in conversations, avoiding simple questions, and just being nervous for no reason. It was like she was trying too hard to be normal. And that alone was enough to make Doug suspicious, because one thing about Doug, he may be calm, but he pays attention, and he was watching. Doug wasn't about to ignore these weird vibes. He began putting the pieces together, and when the puzzle finally clicked, somebody was about to get confronted real quick. Okay, this is where things get wild. Doug was just living his day, minding his business, when he came across something that made his stomach drop. A DNA test. First reaction, wait, what? Who even took this? And more importantly, why? Then he saw the name on the paper, Chantel. Y'all, at this point, Doug was looking at that test like it was haunted, because why was there a secret DNA test sitting at home with his daughter's name on the envelope? And the results, they were not what he thought, not even close. That is when it really hit him. Someone had been keeping a humongous secret from him, and not some ordinary secret. Something that had the potential to shake their whole family over. Doug had questions, and he wanted answers. ERS at once. I am here because you brought the friend into the picture, so I simply want you to say to me in person that it was the friend that I now listen. Doug is not the kind to let things go, especially where his family is concerned. So the moment he pieced things together, he went directly to the source. No beating around the bush, no warming up to the chat. Doug walked straight up to Chantel, put that DNA test right in her face, and said, "Explain this." The expression on Chantel's face was priceless. She glanced down at the paper, then up at Doug, then back at the paper, as if she was expecting the words to have somehow altered. Spoiler alert. They did not. And then she clammed up. Now, if you've ever asked someone a direct question and they take a little too long to respond, you already know what that means. That hesitation. Yeah, that's guilt. Screaming through the silence, and Doug, he'd caught it right away. He crossed his arms, leaned in just a tad, and struck her with that deep, serious IOU's dad tone. Chantel, I'm waiting at this point. You could probably have heard a pin drop in the room. Chantel had known she'd been cornered, Doug wasn't giving her the getaway, and she'd had zilch excuses prepared, and Doug he could see it written on her face. This wasn't some misunderstand, this was something she'd had been sneaking around, and now she didn't have any other choice but to confess, or at least attempt to. Now this is where things get from worse to bad. Before Chantel had even opened her mouth, guess who bursts into the room like she heard police sirens? Jackie. She essentially jumped between them, flailing her hands like a referee. Doug's entire face changed. He turned to Jackie with that slow head tilt. Because if there's one thing you don't do, it's try to stop him in the middle of a serious conversation, and then it clicked. Doug looked at Jackie and went, "Oh, so you knew about this." And Jackie, she was stressed, the guilt was written all over her face. She started stuttering, trying to find the right words, but at that point it was a wrap. Doug had all the confirmation he needed. Jackie knew, and Doug he was already angry, but figuring his own wife was involved in it too. Oh, now he was seething. It's disgusting, it makes me ill. She said some things that really hurt my feelings as a mom. Doug wasn't going to let this drop. Not now. Not ever. He spun on Jackie, eyes locked in, voice low and firm. "Who is it?" Jackie tried to dodge, tried to stall, but Doug wasn't having it. He kept badgering her, his patience, running on fumes, and at last Jackie snapped. "She let a name slip, and y'all, when I tell you..." Doug's whole essence exited his body for a moment. This was the last individual he ever anticipated. His face went blank as a slate, like his mind simply required a moment to catch up on the sheer madness Jackie had simply uttered. Then it struck him forcefully. Doug took a step back, his fists balled, his jaw clenched. He started pacing like a man who was holding back everything in his spirit from flipping that entire room upside down. Because this wasn't just a small betrayal, this was something that changed everything. Doug's whole world just flipped upside down, and there was no coming back from this. And just when you think this situation couldn't get worse, Chantel breaks down like full ugly cry face, buried in her hands, struggling to even breathe through the tears she kept repeating. "I didn't mean for it to happen like this. I never wanted it to come out this way, but..." Oh, he wasn't in the mood. He took a deep breath, glared at her, and said the one thing that hurt more than any yelling. "Ever. Could you had all this time to tell me the truth and you wait until I find out on my own?" Silence? Chantel just shook her head. Tears still falling, but Doug wasn't letting it slide. "You don't accidentally hide something like this for years." Chantel, and that right there. That's when Jackie lost it too. Now she's crying, talking about Doug. "Please, I can explain." But Doug, he wasn't hearing it. This wasn't just a mistake. This was years of lies, years of deception, years of his own family, keeping secrets from him. Doug had always been a family man. His wife, his daughter, they were everything to him. But this was betrayal on a whole new level. You have this castle and this man and this blended family. Go fix it. Go fix dinner. Why are you here? Doug took one last look at Jackie and Chantel, two of the people he loved most in this world. And then he walked away. No yelling, no slamming doors, no final words. Just silence. And for the first in his life, Doug really didn't know whether or not he could forgive them. This was more than a mistake. It was a choice that had been withheld from him for years. A choice that left him doubting everything about his family. His relationship with Chantel broke his trust in Jackie and half shattered, and now Doug had to figure out, does he even want to move past this? Because let's be real, some betrayals don't just heal overnight. And in Doug's head, the individuals who were meant to have his back had been hiding things behind it. Rather, one thing was certain: Doug Christie will never look at his family in the same way again. A person said Doug walking away rather than exploding just indicates how broken he is. This was profound. Another one said, "Jackie's tears don't mean anything. She had years to be honest and didn't. She's only sorry because she got caught." A third said Doug deserves better. He always put his family first, and this is what they do to him. Now the real question is, should Doug forgive them? Or is this kind of betrayal just too much to come back from? And let's really talk about Chantel. Was she truly the one to blame here? Or did Jackie set her up for failure from the start? And Jackie, if she had just told the truth from the beginning, would things have been different? I need to hear what y'all think. Drop your thoughts in the comments.